We're live.
Hello, wonderful people of the internets. My name is Summer or Salt, saltiest of unicorns. We are here on the Blind GM's channel. He has graciously decided to host us for this wonderful game today. This game is going to be a game set in the Grimlands, and I would love to start off introducing my players. My first player here is Maeve, who will be playing Madame Palm, a pomegranate cleric. I, she's gonna have to explain herself later. I will let you will enjoy the sass of this entire group. Speaking of which, Adam, is your turn.
Yes, hello. I am going to be playing Ignatious Arrosa. I am a rose person. Um, we'll see how long that accent sticks. Um, but yes, I am Adam. I'm the Blind GM on TikTok. I am also the Blind Heathen on TikTok. Also, you can find the Blind GM anywhere there is a social, except for the platform formerly known as Twitter, because that's bullshit. So, um, other than that,
The
that's
artist formerly known as
yeah,
Prince.
the
Sorry.
platform formerly known as Twitter. Um, yeah, at any rate, that's me in a nutshell. How about Dragon? You go.
Hello, I am Seraphim, and I will be playing the Princess Peach. I have no idea what I am besides Princess Peach. I am because that's how
You
good
are
I am at this.
you are a giant peach. You are a
um,
princess that has been taught and trained for years on diplomacy and how to stand up for yourself and learning the royal lineage of all the things that are fruit based in this land of
it's
Yumish.
very, it's very important work being a peach.
Absolutely. We must go over to our other character.
And I am DM Wolf. You can find me on pretty much every platform across as DM_Wolf, WOLFE, and on YouTube at Story Table Productions. And I'm going to be playing Sir Aubergine, the knight fighter, um, who is going to be here to protect Princess Peach.
My hero.
As long as
So,
I get the hero's reward, darling.
Let's not pull that out right.
as we open up this scene, the land that speaks Yumish, this would be the Gastronomy Isles, has been hidden in this fog bank of steam. And depending on what time of year it is the scent of the steam. Earlier on in the year, it could be this wonderful scent of uh, chicken soup and savory herbs and spices. Into the winter months, it goes more into milk and smells like Christmas and cinnamon. But the point of this fog bank has been to always protect this island from everything else in the world. And there has been reports over the years of the fog bank thinning. It has thinned to the point where it fully disappeared in the last few months. And in doing so, new creatures have started appearing on the Gastronomy Isles. Creatures that stand upright, talk to us, look like everybody maybe, but they don't smell like food. They have weird accents and dialects. It is one of these creatures that has appeared on a boat that has no food. It's not made out of food in any way, shape, or form. That made his way to the court. At the court, they have stood there and rolled out a very long leaflet inviting the royalty or an ambassadors group to this place called Wonderland. The White Queen is holding a ball, and she would like to set up further negotiations with the Gastronomy Isles to start bringing culture and food techniques back and forth, to just start setting up trade routes. Um, Things have gone a little bit sour in Wonderland over the years, and war has raged on between the White and Red Queen, and she's looking for new allies potentially. After this person had given this out, the king had put it out a request from all manors in the kingdom. Now, there is the Whole Foods, which all of you wonderful people are from that side of the Gastronomy Isles. You're from the land that believes in farming and hard work and believes in all of the uniqueness in just being a single entity versus the processed foods. A little bit of an animosity going on. It sounds very similar to the Red and White Queen. So the king has called for you all together and sent you on the ship with this unusual messenger. This messenger is in a black and white suit. It's actually mostly white, black tie, very crisp, very tall, very thin, with a mask that is ceramic of some sort of herbivore. It frightened all of the children of the kingdom because, what's more terrifying than something that eats other vegetables and fruit? They kept the mask on this entire time, and you have now all gathered onto the ship and are about to land in Wonderland. Most of you know each other from court. Madame Palm, you have been an advisor that has been brought in and out whenever there has been ailments of any kind. You have gone to some of the outlying towns and little hamlets to monitor to make sure that there's no further molding growth from the last wars. Sir Aubergine, you've been the personal guard and part of the royalty that has been there around Princess Peach for at least the last 5 years. And Ignatius, I got that right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You're from a small little section of the islands up north, but it is a mighty section because it was your family specifically that were the first ones that trained the herb dogs. So the rosemary and the thyme dogs to be guard dogs for the royal families in this world. And so you coming to court is a natural and normal thing. So all of you have met each other and interacted with each other off and on for the last few years.
Sorry, I have to get into character here.
Oh, were we supposed to get into character?
There we go.
Whoops.
All right, I am ready for this. I think this entire journey I have been. I don't know if I'm going for Spanish or French. I'm going to just kind of lean into it. I think this entire journey I've been studying our liaison very closely. But by what name do we call this particular individual who has worn this ceramic mask this entire time?
He has gone by the White Rabbit the entire time.
The entire time. Does the ceramic mask appear to be vaguely bunny-like?
Yes, that is what has now scared all of the children of the court, was the fact that it is a rabbit or bunny-like mask.
I
And
think
so,
because
just
I
exactly
am
what do we know of this particular character who has announced himself as such? What have we learned?
You've been traveling, roughly about 3 days on ship with this individual. They are up early every morning. They are on deck. They train on deck. As a matter of fact, a few of you, if you've wanted to, have even had the chance to spar with them. They use a single pronged rapier, where most of you have brought items of um, your own particular tastes. Sir Aubergine, I do believe that he would have asked you to spar with that great warfork of yours.
Quite so, indeed. There's a rather unique weapon of his, that singular skewer that he calls a weapon. Um, but quite interesting form, I must say.
I believe at one point one of you called it a toothpick, and he got visibly angry about it.
It hardly compares to such a royal weapon as what I carry, but you know, if he were to become offended, that is entirely of his own doing.
He lets you know on the last day of this trip that you will be docking, and they have covered wagons for you. You're docking actually early in the evening, and the ball is actually about 30 minutes away from the bay. So you'll be going straight from the ship to the ball. You'll be hosted at the castle, so you'll be able to get to your rooms for a little bit of freshening up if you need to before the festivities of the ball starts. He has encouraged you all to wait until after the ball to try and wander around the town or anything, because this is the first time any of your people have made it to the mainland, and they wouldn't want you confused or possibly mistaken for other characters and creatures that live in this land.
If this is the first time I've been here, why would they be mistaken for another picture?
He tells you of an entire town of gingerbread men, which doesn't sound unusual to you. You're surprised there's not more, but it is so rare for food. Also, there's little hints and whispers of this Humpty Dumpty fellow. It's always said in a very negative light, and as soon as you come up to those conversations with any of the crew, they immediately stop and change topics or pretend they never said anything.
the crew. Are they is the entire crew sort of this strangely shaped thing? Are they all bunny like? What are we looking at? Are they uh is this a food crew or is this a Wonderland crew?
This is a Wonderland crew. There is another ship following that is a food ship, but it's to take you back home. So it will arrive the day after you get there. This crew is all human. And that's what you have learned, that most of these strange creatures are human. They they stand upright like you. They just smell weird. They don't smell nice at all. Especially these ones. They definitely the something about the salt water. I mean, around the islands it's soup water, but it's like it's lost a lot of that flavor once you got past the Great Steam.
Oh, I understand. It's saltwater and I do not get along very well either. It makes me a little bit wilty.
Is
Um,
that's not where they send other foods to be preserved with all of this foul odor in the air.
I can't smell it. But I'm a witch. I can always smell it, though.
Yes.
Notice that your accommodations. I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
No, I'm just being silly.
Okay. You've noticed that your accommodations under the ship seem to be a little colder. It's like some of the pieces of furniture themselves radiate a little bit of coolness. So if you end up going topside for a little too long, you know that you can refresh yourselves in your rooms.
I heard one of the sailors talking about this, but the cold never bothered me anyway. Um, as the White Rabbit mentions that we shouldn't go wandering about for fear of surprising the presumably largely human population
Mm-hmm.
of where we are, I will simply give him a sort of easygoing grin, as is my wont, and I say, I'm not overly worried about it, and I'm going to spend 4 of my energy points,
Mm-hmm.
and um, he starts to grow. The um, petals around his kind of
Mm-hmm.
torso start to kind of shape and form and grow. The thorns kind of rearrange themselves to be sort of more like a slightly spiky aesthetic, not necessarily like metallic, but more like a spiky aesthetic as he casts his version of disguise self to appear human.
Oh, very
That
nice.
smells fully like he's wearing just all of the rose cologne.
Absolutely. I mean, being nighttime, you would end up being able to blend in fairly well. The ship docks, and the carriages are there. They are rather large carriages, very easy to accommodate you all if you so choose. How would you like to proceed? He immediately gets down off the ship after letting you know that the carriages are here, and I must ride ahead to the castle to make sure that your introductions are done correctly.
Who
And gets
would
on a
not want to
horse
be
and
late for
leaves.
this very important date?
He looks at his pocket watch and then, like, very smartly tucks it back into his pocket and then turns and leaves.
I will, of course, escort Princess Peach into her wagon, Madame Maeve, um, Madame Palm as well, and wait for Ignatius to settle himself before clearing the area and making sure that everything is secure first, and then climb up with the driver.
Think
Absolutely.
I think as Ignatius he follows along as if like he owns the place. And as the two Princess Peach and I'm never gonna not laugh at that. Princess Peach and Madame Palm are loaded into the carriage. He will, as you swing yourself into the driver's seat, along or next to the driver, I will actually pull myself along the back on the footman's rest, and choose to travel that way.
So, ladies, you are inside the carriage. And gentlemen, you guys are on the outsides.
Yes.
Wonderful. It takes about 30 minutes to get there. You're winding around streets. They're cobblestones. It's a little bit bumpy. Wouldn't mind a strength check or dexterity from you, Ignatius, just to see if you can stay on there.
Of course.
And ladies, do you have any conversation you'd like to have?
I think at this point, Madame Pomish is frustrated because she's already been around too many fruits and vegetables for far too long and now has to be around more at a ball. She's very quiet, trying not to be rude. Probably. Just
You
sorry.
were sent. You had no choice. They just they knew the importance of Princess Peach and your expertise. So you were told you had to go.
Yeah.
And I'm just, she's just looking out the window at all the new things, maintaining her perfect serene expression of affability in her pretty pink dress.
I love that. I love that.
So,
I had a nat 20 for a 22.
oh, you not only are able to hold on just fine, you are able to, like, as you're back there, kind of swing in with each of the momentums. It looks like you've done this your entire life, to the point that, like, that scene when Gaston is going past and the triplets are swooning. Some of the milkmaids are doing that as you leave, because that aroma of rose is now following everywhere, and they're just like, oh.
I will give them a jaunty wink as we drive by, just to add a little bit to the mystique.
Absolutely. And it goes from kind of gross-ish, dirty, and everything doesn't smell good. You're all used to the smell of herbs and pine and food everywhere. This just smells empty to you. And smells like ocean and then excrement and Poor's Town, until you guys get just outside. And then it starts to clear up a little bit. And you can see the castle right there on the hill. As the coach pulls up and stops, the footman that's next to Sir Aubergine looks to you. Would you like me to open the door, sir?
Absolutely not. That would be my honor. He will step down and open the doors for ladies. Madam, Princess.
And Princess Peach will very serenely take Sir Aubergine's hand and step down with her customary smile. Just very
I
I
step
will-
out politely, but obviously very irritated.
I think Ignatius is directly behind Aubergine as he steps away with the princess on his arm, and I will offer my hand to the lady with the fit-eatingest grin you could possibly imagine.
Absolutely. There is oh, this is a busy affair, so there is quite a few ladies coming in and leaving. There's quite a few carts coming in, dropping people and going. So there is a wide array of nobles, human nobles. And as you're looking around, you start seeing maybe some cat folk. you start seeing small walking trees. So you know that you are not by far the strangest creatures that are about to be at this ball.
So just a point of world clarification here. We're not unfamiliar with these other species and types of individuals. Like we know of them, even if
Mhm.
maybe we haven't encountered them before.
Yes, there is
Okay.
legends and tomes of the mainland,
Gotcha.
but something happened hundreds of years ago that split you off from the mainland, and all that was legend until recently.
Okay. Thank you for that point of clarification.
Mhm.
As we're making our way in, Aubergine's Ignatius, old boy. What some of these creatures before simply legend?
I think Ignatius is like everybody like Aubergine is very, very very stone faced, very like very business. Princess Peach has got her like I'm a noble, I'm going to behave myself. I cannot speak to what Madame Pom is other than just looking generally irritated. I think Ignatius is looking around with sort of unchecked curiosity and wonder. So as
Absolutely.
Aubergine makes that comment, he's like, I know, isn't it great?
Madam Pom's thing is this: I've been to many of these things. This is old news, and she's just over it. She just wanted to be in bed. Just in bed. I love.
And Peach has also been to many of these things, but she is very she's there is you anyone would look at her and think there is not a thought behind those eyes because of the expression she maintains the whole time while looking around and taking in her surroundings. Because that is the presentation she brings forward is a princess with no thoughts.
Absolutely. So the stairs, there's not a grandiose amount of them at this point. But the ballroom, as you go up these stairs, it immediately opens to this ballroom. And it is magnificent in 30-foot tall ceilings. There is a floating chess game going on currently at the top of this of on the ceiling itself. It is adorned with white marble columns, about 8 of them, 4 on each side, that hold this room up. Crystal chandeliers. The walls are covered with silver embroidered tapestries that have stories that the average child is familiar with, but they wouldn't have been stories you had listened to as children. Um, Enormous windows that allow the moonlight to come in, and all of the people you see as you hit those top of the stairs. There is a very stuffy shirted, shorter rabbit that has this very similar mask. You see that it looks like most of the wait staff themselves have these masks of the rabbit. And this one gathers your names. But, or excuse me, he doesn't gather your names. He knows who you are. He was already given a heads up of you guys coming in. Sir Aubergine of the Gastronomy Isles is accompanying Princess Peach of the royalty of the Whole Foods of the Gastronomy Isles, as the two of you go forward. Sir Ignatius Arrosa of the Gastronomy Isles, Madame Palm of the Gastronomy Isles, ambassadors of the royal court. And as soon as the Gastronomy Isles is mentioned, the room quiets for a moment and you're able to see the whole thing. There is two white, pearly looking thrones on the far side of the room. The center is wide open with dancers all over the place, with a band off to the side with various string instruments and horns playing lively music. You have along the sides behind those pillars tables of food. And there is all of these intricate little things. Upon closer look, like first notice, none of the food's moving. You see a fountain that bubbles with chocolate. This is the first time that you are starting to smell things that are familiar of home. Because at least somebody knows how to cook. The room quiets for a moment and then continues back on. Oh, they really are food people, is the general feel. And then the chess game continues.
Princess Peach leans over to gently to whisper to Star Aubergine. "Keep waiting for your moves, I think."
Take your word for it, princess.
Let me teach you.
More important to protect you. However, it is quite decadent in here. I'm rather impressed, I must say. Might even give a run for the old castle back home.
It's very lovely. Nothing spectacular yet. I was promised spectacular. As you know, I always get.
You do indeed, madam, and we'll simply have to see what the White Queen has to offer us.
Nice walls, not enough sunlight.
I suppose we would have to see it during the daylight then, wouldn't we? I'd imagine it
Yeah.
would light up like a green room.
I'm not entirely sure the way these pillars are set up. I think that would cause a lot of weird shadows that kind of make it look like a chessboard even down here. It's kind of it's a thing. Anyway.
Sir Ignatius, you are incorrigible as
That's why you brought me.
What would you like to do? How would you like to explore this room for the moment?
I don't know. I think Madame Palm is going to roll her eyes at Ignatius and go get some food.
Mhm.
I think that is what she's going to do. Just the deep sigh and the eye roll, and then to the food.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So when you get down to the tables, you confirm that it's just regular food. And it's very interesting that it's all tiny. Like you're looking around and you've been in the court for a while. You look and you see, oh, that plate over there looks like the royal family from this quarter, and you see cupcakes. You see little pates and things. The chocolate fountain reminds you so much of the mudrooms from the north. So, as far as you're concerned, it should be edible. I mean, none of it's looking back at you.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how scandalized are we at the chocolate-covered strawberries?
I think I think we're very.
Oh my, that would
I
be
think
quite the
that would
controversy
probably
back
12.
home.
It was
Yes.
like, oh my goodness.
Well, and you're watching these humans and other creatures go and take these little tiny forks and like stab at these strawberries and then go and put it into the chocolate before they go and they eat them. You also notice that the cats and other predator type characters, they don't go anywhere near the chocolate. They don't go anywhere near the produce. Like they're kind of avoiding you all, but they definitely are seen at the table where it has all the carving meats and the fish and all of the eggs and that kind of display. So,
Um,
What are they doing
that
with
one,
those?
I don't know. I feel like that would be a bit overwhelming.
I do.
absolutely.
I think Madame Pom probably had a bit of an anxiety attack for a minute. I'd say, yeah, yeah, just small panic attack.
Go
And
ahead and roll
then,
me
you
a
know,
d20 for that. I want to know how bad is this attack?
How severe is the panic attack? That's fair.
well, that's an 18, so maybe it's not a small one. There
No,
you go.
you definitely feel the those strawberries were not allowed to grow long enough. How dare you pluck them in their youth, and have not had a chance to let them come to fruition. But you're able to keep yourself composed so that you don't make a big scene, and then avoid those.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like the best idea. It's like scooch on past that table and go somewhere else. I think I want to find water. That's what I would like to do. So I'm gonna go look for water.
Absolutely.
Noticing that the cat folk are avoiding us, and Aubergine, for all of his haughtiness, being a bit of a prankster himself, is going to separate from the party for just a moment and walk around towards the cat folk just to see the general reaction to his presence in their area, just and as quietly as he is able.
Roll me a 20. Give me a stealth check of some sort. You can add your dex to that. I want to know.
You were doing shit.
Did we just drop a cucumber behind the cats?
That is hilarious.
Except it's an aubergine.
I'm just glad none of us are in the mint family. That could go poorly.
That's a 13.
The 13? Okay. You are a giant purple eggplant. Well, not giant, you're medium sized. So you're roughly around the same size as most everything in here. There's a few that are smaller, a few taller. Most of the cats are choosing to like ignore for a moment, like the initial before Sir Aubergine. It is a pleasure to meet you.
Right.
What brings you to our glorious country?
You see, we were invited by the White Queen herself. It seems that we were once part of the mainland, as it were. And so we are coming to investigate and open possible diplomacies. But it has been so long that we have only heard tales of creatures such as you, and so I was curious.
At the mention of legend and how that you thought that they were only legend, at that point they just start preening. Like, oh, well, they're actually rather common around here. I mean, and you see claws come out and go back in for a second. We've been part of the court for many years. And the queen has been just wonderful to us. We used to be part of the Red Court, and it's always a terrible thing for the fur to be stressed all the time. wondering if you're about to have your head chopped off. So it's so much nicer here.
Sounds quite a bit like our processed brethren on some of the other parts of the gastronomy isles. A bit of a feud, you might say, there. Similar to my understanding of the red port and the white. Does terrible things for the skin.
Oh, it absolutely does. And they start to get into a conversation with you about like the patchiness of the skin and what stress does. You could see their tail kind of swishing a bit as they are standing there, getting more into this conversation. It takes a few minutes before you start to notice that the chess game up above has ended. Like the entire room cheers for a moment, and you can see now floating above from where you're at is the white rabbit, and what is your companion has mentioned is the March hare, and how this is their annual battle of chess, and they do it on display for everyone to see. They are about to start their second round, and the chess pieces go in reset as the new game is about to start.
In the interim between games, I will turn to the princess whom I've been left with as Aubergine has gone off to have his conversation with the cat folk, and Palm has gone in search of more familiar territory. Um, it seems that it is you and I, Your Majesty. We are here to make an impression. He offers his hand as if to dance.
You always do make quite an impression, Ignatius. Shall we?
Indeed.
Mhm.
Here's what I would like to do. And this is we talked about this ahead of time a little bit. I'm willing to spend some energy points on this. It would be in like the sort of bardic category, it would be something like that. But like I want to do, this is all very prim and proper, very austere, is what I'm getting here. Very all of that. I would like to engage in what starts as a very like normal style dance for this kind of get together, and then have it descend into ultimately something akin to like a tango.
Yes.
And I want to add various different special effects using the energy points, the powers, the spells, like, and I
Mhm.
could list the spells for you, but like silent image, there could be some ghost sound going on, there could be a little bit of like some earth tremor, not with the intention of like attacking anybody, but to like actually shake the ground underneath the feet of the people watching. Like I really want to make a splash in this moment.
Princess Peach, are you up for this?
Princess rises to every challenge.
Absolutely. All right. Well, the music starts, and Sir Aubergine, you are very familiar with this tactic. You have seen it used in the other courts before, and realizing how skittish some of the other people are, think that this could be a real treat to the entire room. So you go over and start cheering the band on, telling them that they need to play something a little bit more lively. And they pick up this folk beat that continues and thrums. Ignatius and Princess Peach, make dexterity rolls for me. You have done this before. The DC's pretty low.
21.
Cocked.
Oh.
Yeah. You got caught upside there.
What'd
Can I
you
go with
roll?
the first one? We're gonna go with the first roll, which was a 6 plus 1.
You actually have etiquette as well, so
Oh,
that
what
would
does that mean?
give you more bonus because you have your proficiency bonus on top of it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
um, that would
Who's
actually meet the first DC for you.
Okay.
Oh.
Good.
Okay.
You're good with the first DC this time. You almost end up stepping on Ignatius's feet as he goes to swing you out onto the floor. Now, you're a peach. You are a little bit bigger around than some of the average party goers here, but you hold yourself as the royalty you are. And with Ignatius spinning you around, you are both dancing and starting to catch the attention. How many points were you willing to spend there, Ignatius?
Let's see.
They're
I
all
have
cantrips, right?
everything that I mentioned there was a cantrip. Maybe not
So
Earth
let's just
Tremor.
call it like 4 points, because if it's all cantrips, cantrips are like 1 point apiece.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Sir Aubergine,
Yes.
some sort of charisma roll for me. See if you can get the band going even faster.
Um,
6 total.
we're still dancing at the party.
6 total.
6 total. Yes,
So I
ma'am.
don't know yet. Sorry.
So
Just roll a 6 on.
the band itself
Are you okay?
has continued on.
Sorry.
Good job.
Okay.
Continue.
Sorry.
The band has continued on. They didn't quite hear you, and as you're like about to try and get them to go faster, one of the other lion folk have come over to start speaking with you, and he starts clapping you on the back and starts trying to talk with you about that wonderful war fork you have and how he's never seen a more amazing weapon. Ignatius and Princess Peach, give me another dexterity.
Is this in fact going to be etiquette as well? I have it as well.
You
that's
can
why
use
I'm
etiquette,
asking.
yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You had a 21 the first time, so it really didn't make that much of a
Yeah.
difference.
It would have been a 23, which is awesome, but Jesus.
Yes.
If we have to fight, we
So,
might be
adding
screwed. I'm
proficiency.
rolling really well right now.
What's your proficiency?
I don't.
So, on the side on the left.
Oh, +2.
Yes.
Okay.
That's +3 total plus that.
Okay. So 17.
17.
Okay. And
Fantastic.
this time
Mhm.
for sure I had a 21.
Fantastic. So you both hear that music just keep going, and then you start expanding your circle out so that now you've made it to where you are catching all of the attention to the center of the room. People have stopped paying attention to the game of chess up above. Madam Palm, you have watched this kind of thing happen many times before and have sat back and snarked at them because, of course, it's a power play. But you're starting to feel something is off. Being around this other food, yes, it smells like home, but something is not quite catching. And it's really hard to pinpoint with all of the other smells going on in the room. The sound from the band suddenly turns into that tango that you were hoping for. It's like the band intuitively knew what you were going for. And it goes and drops into those minor chords. And you are now doing that final part of the dance. The entire room is staring at you. What are you going for?
I mean, Ignatius is going for. How to describe this? Ignatius is going for like a little bit of wonder, a little bit of again, he's trying to add to that sort of mystique. Like we came in and the whole room quieted because there's food people.
Hmm.
So let's show them that food people can do wondrous things. And maybe whatever preconceived notions they have about food people will be challenged in this moment.
Absolutely. The dance winds up, and you end up spinning Peach and ending in one of those beautiful flourishes, and the whole room is silent for half a moment before everybody erupts into laughter and clapping and cheering as they are appreciating the very public display that just happened. Um, for the next couple of rounds, you guys will have advantage on any kind of social roles because you just charmed the room. And it'll work for the entire party because it was for all of you.
Yes, even Madame Palm enjoyed it.
The lion folk who has now absconded with Aubergine, complimenting his weapon. Well, thank you very much for that, Olpin. I'd be more than happy to give you a demonstration at some point, should you ever require, to show you how to properly handle such a weapon.
Well, we're supposed to have some exhibition matches later this evening. I hope you plan on joining in with us.
Of course. I would hate to be rude and not display such techniques that we could be teaching our people and sharing should diplomacies work out.
It was at this moment that you hear tapping on the ground, and the announcer breaks the silence with, "All rise for Her Majesty the White Queen of Wonderland and her royal consort, the Baroness Liddell." And you see two almost identical figures in gorgeous white dresses, one with the crown, one without, both with partial rabbit masks. And it's like they're wearing the each other's half, like they took one mask and made two. As they come and sit at the two thrones that are at the front of the room, and then continue on with everything else. It is at this moment, too, that the White Rabbit has come down from his place up on the ceiling, floating, and walks up to Ignatius and Princess Peach. Her Majesty would love to speak with you when it is convenient for you. She has started receiving the gifts that have been coming in from the ball and from the various barons and royalty, and had received something earlier that she would like to ask you about if you happen to know.
I will glance at Peach and I will follow her lead.
The phrasing that I had in my head, it just yeeted itself. Um, we would be happy to oblige Her Majesty. We are here at her invitation. And Peach glances towards Sir Aubergine and moves with the White Rabbit to go see the Queen.
Yeah, as we're moving, I think Ignatius will also like make eye contact with Aubergine. Not so much they come now, but more of like pay attention to what's like making sure that he's paying attention to what's going on. I'm sure he is, but it's more of a you're watching, right? Okay, cool. Um, and sort of do the same thing with Madame Palm, who looks like she stepped away. But yeah, he'll kind of make eye contact with her to make sure that she's also aware of what's happening.
I am here. Yes.
Okay.
I make eye contact.
As you do, Aurine's going to excuse himself from his conversation and move to join.
Absolutely.
I will surrender the princess's arm to Aubergine.
I also stop what I'm doing and rejoin the party.
So it is at that moment that the White Rabbit nods up to the Queen and indicates that you are all approaching, and then steps off to the side to continue back with his chess game up on the ceiling. The pathway up to her starts to part. It's almost like there was an unconscious get out of the way when the White Rabbit had done that. And you are allowed to easily get up to the Queen and her consort. The White Queen stands and recognizes you all. Thank you for traveling the days it took to get here. I hope your accommodations were suitable. We had to dig into archives that are very ancient to find any kind of way of making the ship fit your needs.
Peach curtsies just the correct amount and says, "Thank you very much for your accommodations and considerations. We are very happy to be here."
Auriene will bow as well. It was quite refreshing, I must say, to have such things taken into consideration for us. It was a bit surprising considering we had not seen anyone of this kind before.
Yes, it has been centuries, at least on our time, since your isles have disappeared. And you can see that she pulls out this scroll from behind her, and it's really small, and it has what looks like your island, but very, very old. Like, it's definitely not updated to where the current political is. And there's a few new islands that you have now because of eruptions that weren't available then, and places that have been marked. We found this, and I would like to give this to you as a small gift to go back to your king, to know that we have been waiting for when it would be appropriate to bring you back into the world.
Majesty will greatly appreciate it. And she waits for Sir Aubergine to take it.
Yeah, he will step forward and take the scroll, inspect it before putting it behind him.
She pulls a second letter. And this one, you can see the Baroness Liddell stiffens a little bit. I feel I must read you this letter. It came with a rather large box, and after my wizards and my court inspected it, it seemed to be okay, but Let me just read this to you. To Her Majesty, White Queen of Wonderland. Your Majesty, I hope this letter finds you in the sweetest of spirits. I wish to extend my deepest gratitude for the kind and generous invitation you have extended me and my family. It is with immense pleasure and anticipation that I accept your invitation and will be visiting your enchanting Wonderland in the future. As the reigning monarch of Sweetlandia, a realm known for its delectable landscapes and confectionery delights, I'm truly honored to be welcomed into your magical kingdom. Your reputation for fairness and hospitality and whimsical wonder precedes you, and I'm excited to experience firsthand the wonders of and marvels of Wonderland. Until we can meet, I have left you this gift. Enjoy it, and may it help you entertain to a level that we will bring you when we come and visit. Once again, thank you for your generous invitation, and I eagerly await the day when Sweetlandia and Wonderland can join together in celebration and merriment. All of you start to stiffen as soon as you hear the word Sweetlandia, because that is the other faction, the processed foods. The queen of the cupcake people and their sickeningly sweet conversation.
Did you have a question about this one?
We didn't know that the island itself had split, or the islands. And so when all of you came over, we invited many factions. They just sent a gift. And then she goes and indicates that the chocolate fountain was the gift that was sent from the other side. There's something magical. We just can't place it. It's not in our realms. But it seems benign. And I was hoping that maybe I could get your take on the other factions and the political landscape of your island.
The problem with the Sweetlandians is they seem delectable on the surface, but if you have too much of a good thing, it rots you from the inside.
They speak in riddles and are oftentimes saying one thing while meaning another. We do not get along, although we have tried. We do our very best to keep the peace in our homes.
It does in fact become very difficult to manage when everything that they offer or speak of becomes, how we would say, sugar-coated.
So what you're saying, this is a trifling matter, and I shouldn't be too concerned.
What I am saying,
I
Your
should be able to
Majesty,
see through
is
the
that
layers.
what I am saying, Your Majesty, is that you should be more paying attention less to the delectable place before you, and rather the knife that will be awaiting behind you.
Aubergine, you are too harsh.
Your word, as always, madam. I apologize.
Perhaps this is one of those times in which they truly mean what they say.
With all due respect, I will maintain my vigilance.
You are always vigilant, Sir Aubergine.
Your Majesty, it would surprise me very greatly if the Sweetlandians were to strike out against you directly. Most likely, if this is anything, it is a way to curry your favor, such that you may favor them over, say, other factions from our homeland. If you would allow myself and Madame Pom to inspect the chocolate fountain, perhaps there is something more there, perhaps there is not, but maybe we can find out for sure.
Oh, by all means. I would greatly appreciate that.
I will offer my arm to Madame Pom and head towards the chocolate fountain.
Okay. Let's. Okay. So, I'm sorry. I was having an MS moment
You're
for
good.
2 seconds. Okay. So what is there a role I need to be doing?
Yes.
Right.
So you guys would end up rolling a d20, and actually this you could take advantage for this because this is actually something from your lands, so you would have a higher knowledge for it. So you would roll 2d20s and take the highest. And then this could be intelligence or wisdom if you would like to use any of your bonuses.
Oh my goodness. Neither one of those rolls were good just now.
It's okay. What'd you get?
Oh, the highest one was a 2.
Fantastic.
That's
Right?
delightful.
So
All right.
4. That's what I got right now.
Okay.
Because of course I did.
I am going to roll. I am also going to use my my intense sense of smell, particularly given that a lot of processed foods are going to use bits and pieces of other fruits and vegetables and flora
Mm-hmm.
to change and enhance their flavors and whatnot. And I would like to use that to sort of detect hints of potential harmful substances to flesh and blood individuals. In other words, since it's any spell, you said off the druid spell list,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to cast detect poison and disease.
Absolutely.
So the roll I got for this would be an intelligence for me is a 17.
Okay.
Poison and disease is a first level spell, so I'm going to nix that total off of my total.
Okay.
So yeah, there you go.
You do not you do not see any poison or disease. Madam Palm, you still have your uneasy feeling. Like you know that there's something here, but it hasn't quite made itself apparent yet. You just can't quite place it. Something is familiar. Your 17, Ignatius, is telling you that this is just chocolate, properly tempered chocolate for once. It's not going to crack or bleed or anything. But you start to also catch the smell of something magical. And as the two of you are inspecting this, a human comes by and goes and stabs a strawberry right in front of you, and then goes to put it into the top to get some of the chocolate right off the top of this. And when they do that, they accidentally drop the fork, and the whole thing falls, moves, splatters. Chocolate starts to go everywhere. And in doing so, they go into a rage. Like, it's unnatural. They're so angry for just this moment. And as that happens, you start to feel the ground below you too move. And you realize that this fountain is not just the tiny fountain that looks like it's on top of the table. It's the whole table. And it stomps as it starts to come to life. And that person who started raging gets scared, falls on their butt, and starts scooting backwards as this thing now stands to full height and comes alive and screams at the entire room, throwing chocolate everywhere. Roll for initiative or choose what you're going to do next. As you are now face to face with a chocolate fountain golem.
Stupid chocolate fountain golems. Hate it when that
Initiative is a d20 plus your dex modifier.
Dex plus proficiency.
Alright.
So he goes plus 30.
18.
Fantastic. I'm like, I have this right here so I can pull its stats up. Yay.
Bear with me, I haven't played this in a while, so I'm refreshing my memory as I go.
Oh, you're fine.
Ignatius has a 16.
Ignatius was a 16. Peach
Correct.
was a 16.
Mm-hmm.
And Madam Palm, you were
I got a 20.
20.
Or
Got
not
it.
a 20 and 18, sorry.
18. Gotcha. 18. And Aubergine,
20.
20.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. I get to use my new dice.
Yay!
Yay.
All right. This guttural scream, well, not guttural. It has this kind of bubbling, liquidy scream to it as it's like, and it's all kinds of chocolate that is now going everywhere. Tables got pushed back. Guards have gone and pulled people back, but have not evacuated the room. And you can see that both the Queen and Baroness Liddell, she has stepped just slightly in front of the Queen, and they are standing there watching from the platform. It looks like a gift has been given to us. Well, ambassadors, since this has come from your land, I will allow you to deal with it how you see fit. It would be Sir Aubergine's turn first.
All right. He's going to turn to the queen and her consort, bow before unsheathing his war fork and leaping to attack.
Absolutely. Roll to hit.
It's going to be a 21 to hit.
You were only about 15 feet away from where this was set up, and you were able to leap into the air and absolutely connect with this beast. Go ahead and roll for damage for me.
Roll that with the attack. This comes out to 14 points of piercing damage.
Absolutely. You end up hitting it and taking the smallest piece on top, and end up actually knocking it straight off of it as it screams again and it starts shooting more chocolate. It would be Ignatius's turn.
Actually, before that, I'm going to use my action surge to attack again.
Okay, go for it.
And that's going to be a 15 to hit.
Okay, that actually misses.
Okay.
You swing back around to try and get it again, and it sees your move coming and ducks just enough that you end up taking and splattering chocolate to so many of the guests behind it as they are coated in the warm gooiness. Then it goes to Ignatius.
So I have some of-table questions before I declare what I'm going to do. First and foremost, does this appear to be, I mean, it's a golem, clearly, it's a magical golem, but is it a functioning fountain? As in, the chocolate is traveling through various workings on the inside and it's doing stuff?
Yes.
Okay. At which point, he will think back as he kind of pulls out, just waves his arm, and with the disguise, it probably looks like a thorn whip kind of rolls out of his sleeve. The reality is, it's just part of his arm. As he kind of rolls out the thorn whip. But as he does this, he kind of glares at the thing, thinking about how so many of his flowery brethren can be so easily preserved in the cold depths. Glares at the thing and says, "You are making a mess." And he's going to tap into the preservation aspect of the cold and use shape water to ideally freeze the chocolate. Now, it's technically
Okay.
supposed to be water, but there's water in it. I will spend more energy points if you will allow me to do this, because it would be a cantrip, but I will happily spend, upwards of the 4, with the idea being that, like, maybe it'll slow it down, maybe it'll inhibit its movement or something like that.
I would say, because chocolate naturally does not have the water content you think, it's actually fats. But there's enough water around that you could seize that chocolate with it using the shape water. End up
Okay.
like pulling some of like the champagne and stuff from around there and possibly pulling it into it and causing the chocolate to start seizing in its pipes. It'll take about a round, but you could definitely do some good damage with that.
Then yeah, that's what I will do.
When the chef is the DM of a food game.
That's fair.
So absolutely spend your points for shape water, and that's what we will do. Is you're calling out to this, and the tables next to it that had some of the champagne glasses and whatnot in the bubbly, you ended up just grabbing them all, Avatar style, and pulling it in.
Airbender style, waterbender
Put
style. Yeah.
yes.
Would you? Here's. I'm going to negotiate this, and I'm not going to be butthurt if you say
Mhm.
no. So shape water is a cantrip. It would be 1 point. Would you let me spend 4
Yes.
points to let this go off in this round? So basically, upcasting like it's a first level spell as opposed to a cantrip.
Yes.
Okay.
I
So
would.
then I'm going to do that.
Okay. I'm knocking the points for that because that's going to do a good amount of damage. Roll me for that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call it 2d6s. And then Madam Palm, it'll be your turn next.
2d6 is 9 total on that one.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to step away for half a second. I'll be right back.
Sure. Madam Palm, you have just been lightly coated with chocolate. And you just watched him as he went and pulled the champagne from the glasses around you and threw it into this thing. And the chocolate is seizing. And it's like its movements are slower. Its rage is building, though.
Okay. But can I use moldy touch on this chocolate
Absolutely.
and cause it to rot from the inside?
Yeah, absolutely you can. Go ahead and give me a roll for the range touch check. So it's a d20. In this case, plus your dexterity modifier.
Every time. Okay, so 8. I don't know how well
Okay.
that.
It's not gonna hit, but you do end up seeing that what he is doing is causing this thing to seize really badly. And so you know that it's not going to last for too much longer. Is there anything else you would like to do? Do you want to back away from it, or are you good where you are?
I should probably back up slightly. Especially since I
Fantastic.
probably just pissed it off.
Well, you did just reach out and, like, as it's all seizing, go and try and add more to it. It is definitely very irritated. And you could feel that the chocolate is starting to, like, solidify. Princess Peach, it is your turn.
Okay. Well, he took my Sir Ignatius took my idea. So I'm sorry. Can you? My brain just yeeted everything. Can you repeat what Madame Palm just did?
So Madame Palm
I
tried to cast a spell
Mm-hmm.
that didn't work, but has taken the chocolate fountain's attention.
Okay.
And then she backed away from it as it's starting to seize because of Ignatius basically putting water into tempered chocolate, and that just makes chocolate go bleh.
Okay. I had that was
Look your actual list.
this.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Then I can use first level spells.
Cantrips and first levels for you.
First cantrip.
Okay. First level.
You also have, I believe, your rolling pin.
I do have a rolling pin, yes. So if nothing, if I can't think of anything else, I can always just chuck that at it.
Just as a quick aside, the notion, this is on my sheet, the notion of a war grater is horrifying.
That is
Can
horrifying.
you describe a war grater for me?
I'm
Because
genuinely picturing like one of those like cheese graters that you just
cheese
kind of run
graters,
up
like,
and just start.
cut in half? No, but
Oh no,
like
it's a
mine,
full.
It's marked. It's a shield. It is according to this, right? So it's just
What is?
The
War
war
grater.
grater.
Yeah, the war grater is an actual weapon. It is a cheese grater, like the box cheese grater, and you are proficient with it that you can run up and actually slice. It does slashing damage.
That's terrifying.
It's a two-handed
No,
weapon.
you are proficient
God.
with shields under your armor.
Oh,
class.
Right.
I didn't know what I was looking at here. Hi, I've never played this before.
It's just God's forbid
I
the
just
food
pretend
people.
to be a D&D player on TikTok.
God's forbid the food people ever go to war with the fleshies, because those war graters are gonna mess some folk up.
Oh man.
Absolutely.
Oh, now the image
Oof.
is there. Okay.
Slide back up.
Okay.
That sounds like, no, that's
Okay,
nightmare
so
fuel.
nightmare.
War Rider?
I saw that and I'm like, that is the most horrifying thing I've seen today.
That is terrifying. That's terrifying.
That's actually kind of like
You all
I
love
want
me and you
so
know
many
it.
things.
Right.
No, I love that your brain went that dark. Oh my gosh.
So clearly freezing the chocolate monster has not worked. So
It is working.
it
You
is
see
working.
that it is physically slowing down
Okay.
as that chocolate is seizing in
And-
its pipes.
And now is your time because I have its attention.
Okay. Then in that case, I would Princess Peach is going to just to carry on with Sir Ignatius's idea and fire a ray of frost at the cold monster, the chocolatey beast. So
Absolutely. Roll to hit for me.
okay. 16. Okay. Plus my proficiency, which is 3, right?
2.
2. Okay. I'm figuring this out. Yes. So
Well,
18.
what is her casting ability? What score is that?
For her, it's charisma. I believe that's what
Okay.
I put the highest score in.
5.
Okay, so you got the 5 to your roll.
So plus 5, so that's 21.
Yes.
21.
Oh yes, you absolutely hit.
Oh, sorry, the vine popped in my head.
And that's
So,
so you
It
roll
does all the
D8.
time.
3. I got 3.
That happens. It's a cantrip.
Yeah.
You cast this cone of cold at it, and it's almost like this breeze of the most potent spearmint as you channel it at the chocolate. The whole room, you start to hear this like intake of breath because they can almost feel that cold with the smell of spearmint as it goes through. And the fountain itself, one whole side of it, is frozen in its space. It is
just
the
this,
chocolate's turn. Yes.
just this flavor text in my head, casting a frost spell because you've seen peaches covered in sugar and looking like crystallized or whatever. So when she casts frost, I just like imagine like a layer of crystallized frost like going over her dress in my head.
Oh, absolutely.
That is a
Because if you're
rhyme.
going to do it, you might as well do it for show.
Indeed.
Well, yeah. And of
So
course,
now-
her expression never changes.
So it's a glazed
chocolate.
peach, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Not yet.
Oh my goodness, I love you all. So this creature,
So,
it was so rudely woken up. It has multi attacks.
oh no.
It is going to try to hit Sir Aubergine because you had done the most damage to begin. Well, not the most, but you're the one right in front of it
Mhm.
at this moment.
I'm still the one within striking distance.
Does a 21 hit you?
Unfortunately, a 21 will hit.
Okay. It does 10 points of damage as its one free arm goes and backhands you to push you away.
Okay.
It then goes and tries to shake off it tries to purify the chocolate at this moment. I'm going to see if it actually is able to. Yeah, no, that's not going to purify the chocolate. It starts. You see it start to almost take a breath, though it seems like it shouldn't need one, as it screams again and chunks of chocolate start shooting out of the top of it. It's not liquid anymore. It's big chunks that just go flying off into the room as it's trying to restart its fountain.
I imagine it's like gravel in a blender.
Yeah, and
Now my
the
teeth
people in
hurt
the
thinking
room
about that.
Thanks.
are watching in wonder. Like, they're seeing you guys battle this thing as if it was nothing. You are very familiar with these chocolate fountains. They're usually pretty benign, unless something has been killed in front of it. The fact that it actually came to life so quickly and so angrily is what is really unusual. Sir Aubergine, it is your turn.
He's gonna kind of readjust a little bit. You know, I don't remember the last time I was so rudely slapped. He's gonna-
Sorry, that was me.
and so he's going to aim at the frozen portion of it and try to hit.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many dice here. I lost track of which one I should roll. Then is
Try again.
yeah. I
Okay.
don't know which one I actually threw. Okay. That's gonna be a 15.
15. A 15 will hit because half of it is frozen in place.
Oh, I completely missed this the last time. I have an ability with my melee hits
Mm-hmm.
that I did not add to it, so I apologize for that. But
What is that ability called?
bitter strikes. Anytime my melee weapon hits, I add 2 points of poison damage.
Because you are a bitter eggplant.
I am indeed a bitter eggplant. But that's going to be 12 points of piercing damage and 2 points of poison.
Okay.
And he's just going to turn like a whale and slam down on the frozen side of the chocolate in an attempt to try to break off that portion of the fountain.
You succeed. You come down with your war fork, and you come down and slightly pop forward. And as you do so, you end up getting right into the joint, and just a little bit of a pull, and it pops that entire arm off of the golem. Doesn't seem to notice it, considering that side of him is what's frozen.
That'll come in handy later.
Ignatius, it is your turn, and then Madame Palm, it'll be yours.
How big are we talking here? In terms of like, is it a medium size, a large size? How big is this thing?
It's the bigger end of a medium-sized creature.
Okay. Can I shimmy around it to get away from everybody but it? Is there a way for me to kind of position myself so I'm not within 5 feet of any other creature other than it?
Yes.
Okay. So you see Ignatius sidles away from Aubergine. I think Aubergine is the only other one up there with me.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of sidles away from Aubergine after making a crack about being the last person to slap him rudely. and then sort of tapping into the not sure how to make this. Oh no, I know exactly how to make this. He snaps his arm straight out, and the thorn whip solidifies into what appears to be. I mean, to a human, it would appear to be like a natural rapier, but it is just a giant like rose thorn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which he then
Yep.
just kind of tings, and it kind of starts to vibrate, and he just slams it straight down into the center of the frozen section of the golem. And I'm going to use that. It's not an attack, it is thunderclap. I'm going to use thunder sonic damage against the frozen portion of it um to try to capitalize on the crystalline nature of frozen things.
I'm sorry. Did you
Absolutely.
just attack it with a?
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll the hit for me.
Natural 20.
Oh, I love this. Okay, so you move to to behind it. You're able to kind of step just a few steps. It's very fast. And what you say happens. You have your sword out. You end up having it vibrating as you go and pierce this thing, and the spell goes right down it. And it's almost like the entire world in there slows for a brief moment as it just kind of, huh? And rattles to pieces. And you can see like each of the individual bowls that was holding chocolate fall to the different sides, and its legs fall apart, and this thing shatters the rest of the way. It was stone, so there's obviously some pieces that are still in place, but the whole thing falls apart, pipes and all.
As it shatters to pieces, and it kind of Ignatius will take the sword and just kind of stab a piece of frozen chocolate with it, pop it in his mouth, chew. Still delicious chocolate.
Incorrigible is always delicious.
It is at this moment that there is a scream from the back of the room, and you can see that the Baroness is pulling the Queen through doors, hidden doors that are behind the thrones, and you see that there is blood covering one of the thrones as they quickly disappear. And another scream happens almost simultaneously as what looks like a very nervous, scared kitchen staff starts running through the room, going, "It came alive." And behind it is a great stove that is stomping into the room. It is at this point that the guards have started pulling people out of the room, and they're starting to push because this isn't part of the show. The Queen was there to watch everything else. Why is she suddenly gone? And why is her pristine white throne covered in blood? This thing is large sized. It's like a potbelly stove, like the big old ones that they did in medieval times, where it has the cage opening up and it is burning with the fires from hell. It has smoke coming out of the top of it, and it is starting to traipse through those back doors towards where the chocolate fountain was. and it sees you all there. I'm going to keep the initiatives we have. And in this moment, it would actually be Madame Palm's turn. The rest of the room is starting to empty. You have this large floor space. It's about 20 feet away from you. And you know this thing. All of you have seen or heard stories of hungry stoves. They're supposed to be fed at least once a week. But obviously the people here did not know what to feed it, that now it is looking for its own meal.
Fair question to ask. Would we know what it eats?
Technically, this thing would take an offering of expired food or expired food people. So it is zeroing in on you, all of you. And this thing is large size for all of the purposes. You guys are medium, so it's the size bigger than you. Think about like Inigo Montoya next to Andre the Giant.
Right.
Large boy. Small
It's big boy.
beefy boy.
Madam Palm, if you were speaking, we can't hear you.
You are muted, madame.
Sorry about that. I would like to do something that would protect us all in the moment.
Mhm.
Give everybody else enough time, probably. So, food dome.
Absolutely. That doesn't, because of the nature of it, there isn't a role for it.
Okay.
Unless something goes and attacks the dome itself. So what she is conjuring up right now, you want me to go ahead and describe?
Yes.
I got you. So a rather large floating platter happens to appear amongst all of you. You're familiar with these, you've seen them before. If you get onto this platter, a dome can come down and will temporarily give you a shield of protection and refresh you if you are tired or need some of your energy points recovered. So she is giving you a moment of recovery if you choose to jump onto this thing. Is that it for you?
That is all I have right at the moment. Yes.
Okay. Then it would be Ignatius's turn.
Is
Is
there
it? Oh no,
Go?
excuse me, it's Peach. It's
Yeah,
Peach's
I
turn.
just went. I think it's Peach's turn.
Yeah, I
Okay.
flip-flopped him.
Oh, okay. Okay, so right now our options are to jump on a healing platter or attack the giant stove.
Or set yourself up for something if you have anything.
I have an idea, but I don't.
If you have something that you want to try to do, you can always go through the attack until that thing triggers.
You can hold your action if you choose.
It seems like cold would work best in this scenario, right?
Right, so if you
The
want to
hot
until
stove.
like close or distracted or something to do something, you hold your action until
Okay.
that happens, whatever the case may be.
Okay.
So that's always an option too.
Ignatius is it's easily flammable. They're all actually kind of flammable.
I mean, peaches don't survive super well in intense heat.
No.
I,
Although they are good
I
roasted.
don't think any of us do.
Say,
Excuse you.
That's That's do you want peach cobbler? Because that's how you get the peach cobbler.
That's how you get peach cobbler.
And you want me to be processed food? I thought you were trying to keep me
Of course
alive.
not, madam. Of course not, madam.
Okay, well, I don't know if I don't know.
If GM, do you allow speaking out of turn?
Yeah, if you have a suggestion or something that might
Okay.
help too.
Ignatius goes, I have an idea. It takes food. We have a bunch of slowly melting chocolate right here.
Just out of
Tables of
character, I
food.
forgot. I had that thought, and then she started talking about the dome, and you didn't. Well, sort of like the buffet. There's like food everywhere from the buffet, all over the floor. So
There's an
why not?
entire table of meat and giant carved meats just across the room.
Okay.
You are a princess. Convince it. Use that royal intimidation.
What
Yes.
here? He's my encyclopedia mage hand. Okay.
I'm not telling you wrong.
All right. What would you like to do?
Well, how do I make this fruity?
Which
Do we
spell
have
are you
to
trying to
make it
use? Because I can
mage
also help.
hand?
Mage hand? Oh, okay.
He's
Absolutely.
looking.
In that case, like mage hand in and of itself, you'd be like, you take and focus the sweetness of the royal peach line, which creates an aroma that ends up causing you to be able to pick these foods up and start throwing them in the direction of the food.
Mhm.
Okay,
Sorry,
I like
I'm
that.
just
Is that
I'm picturing the cartoon characters who are being lifted up by the smell and
Uh-huh.
carried towards the pie.
In my other game, I have a Garfield who is distracted by Italian foods, and that's
Mm,
exactly what happens.
now I want
So,
lasagna.
okay?
I
So
mean,
yeah,
there is a linguine monster. I can always bring that in if I need to.
That doesn't put it in my belly though. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's kind of a problem.
I haven't found good
All right,
spaghetti
so
around here.
I'm gonna have to make it. In any case, we're going to use that, right? The mage hand, you're
Yes,
trying to pick
yes,
up like some of the roast
like
and
throw the
chuck it
food
in the direction.
at the thing. Like here's food. Go look. Like create a trail leading it to the
Mhm.
table of food and away from us.
Okay.
Because
I'll have
the frog
the
is hungry. It's not its fault.
okay. It gets hit with the first chunk of meat, and that chunk falls to the ground, and it takes a second, and you can see that it takes these claws that come off the side of it and goes and picks it up and starts shoving it into its fire pit. It is the oven's turn. Yes. The oven itself goes and exhales fire in a 30-foot cone. So I am going to need, Princess Peach, Sir Aubergine. Ignatius, you were a little further away, right?
Yeah, I'd moved
Because
around
I'm
the other
looking
side. Yep.
other side. And so was Madame Palm. So it's actually Peach and Aubergine because you guys were in the line for where I have this drawn out to make dexterity saves for me.
Can I give her advantage if instead of dodging it, I raise my shield and step in front of her?
You could. You also have your chef dice. I believe that there is a a thing in there for you for that too.
There is, and I don't remember what the die was.
I believe it's the third or fourth one with the frying pan. So, Princess Peach, go ahead and roll 2 d20s and the highest one.
Okay, 14 plus my dex, which is +1, so 15.
Okay.
Okay, so it's just one. So yes, so
Yep.
so Arjun will step up, raise his shield while she dodges out of the way, and reach behind and grab one of the frying pans and chuck it at
Okay.
the stove as a reaction.
So what you are doing in that manner, go ahead and roll. What'd you get?
So it's a 13 on the die. So assuming that's a strength with my proficiency,
Yep.
that'll be 18 to hit.
Yes. You
and
succeed on that.
it's 6 points of damage.
Okay. What you are doing at this point is you have caused the frying pan to hit this thing as Princess Peach dodges out of the way on one direction. When you throw this frying pan, it's almost like a boomerang. It ends up hitting the face, the front of this oven in a manner that causes it to turn just off. And when it does, that cone of fire goes right past you. Now it's 30 feet. Not only does it just cause this char all the way across the ground, but it ends up lighting the entire table of meats on fire and catches that entire table up, and it is completely scorched. You know that if you had stayed inside that fire, you would have been burnt and probably suffering from burning for at least a few rounds. Sir Aubergine, it is your actual turn since that was a reaction to the scene.
As the boomerang pan comes back, he's going to catch it, and with the same movement, use the pan to turn around, grab some of the food, and throw it at the oven.
Okay. Roll to hit.
Okay, so this is just hitting with the food, right? Do I need to add any modifiers to this or no?
Go ahead and do a dexterity because you're having to aim essentially.
Okay, so dex and proficiency.
Mhm.
It's still only going to be a 9.
Yeah, no, you're not going to hit. It's going to bounce off and not come back to you.
Well, no, I'm not trying to throw the pan itself. I'm just
Throwing the
scooping
food.
up the food with the pan and like slinging it
Like
Oh.
to try to feed.
It's
like
like mashed
racquetball.
potatoes.
like,
Yeah, no.
It's like that
In this case, it's like mashed potatoes. Instead of like a solid chunk of food going after it, it just kind of splatters everywhere and does not do what you were hoping for it to do. Ignatius, it's your turn, and then it will be Madame Palm.
Okay. So Ignatius is a smart cookie. Just a point of clarification, and I can roll
he
for
was a
this if you want me
rose.
to. Yeah, he's a smart rose. Was the Baroness protecting the Queen? Or was the Baroness
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Okay. So that wasn't a moment of betrayal there. That was something else is going on, and I imagine I wouldn't have any idea what that is, and that's fine.
Mhm.
I'm gonna hop on the platter, the food dome disc.
Mm-hmm.
I have absolutely. Do I have any idea if these ovens are intelligent such that they can comprehend language?
They are not. No, they are the equivalent of just a beast. They are a construct. They serve a purpose. They are sentient enough to know that they need to be fed, and there is stories and of whatnot of them wandering off to get fed and being lost in the forest. Otherwise, normally they're kept pretty well. Like the job of chef is a very revered job in the gastronomy isles, and to allow your stove, your hungry stove, to wander away is a very big sign of disrespect. So,
Then I'm gonna attempt to make maybe just like a raw charisma check to like get it to look at just the massive quantity of food that's over there that is so much more, well, less feisty than we are.
mhm.
And try to get that like, yeah, look, there's food over there. It's not going to fight on the way down. It's a whole thing.
All right,
Go
Lumiere.
for it.
I've been trying to figure out what he sounds like this whole time, and I finally figured it out. He's Lumiere.
It's not far off. Where is my charisma? I think it's a +4, but I want to make sure. Oh yes, I'm
Yes.
a very charismatic rose. So that was 70, 21 is the total.
It stops for a moment. And then when it does, and it sees you, it almost hunkers down like a puppy. Its mouth to the oven pops open, and it realizes you're giving it permission to eat everything else. And at that moment, it just like and actually starts going after the other tables.
Oh, such a good oven. Such a good oven.
It takes out a couple of the tables, and then like after that, like after it's eaten 2 or 3 of the tables next to you all, it kind of like falls over on its side and is just resting as it sits there, well fed, not upset. And you feel like you could possibly give it a command, since it's actually now just content.
Uh, Assuming that watching all of that took some time, what does
Mm-hmm.
food dome do for me? Because I jumped on it.
It would end up giving you 15 of your energy points back.
Oh, thank God.
You are refreshed. And yeah, you are refreshed. So
I need to use it. I'm gonna go back.
Yeah, I'm glance at the others as the hungry oven is now resting.
mhm.
Right. So apparently we need to inform these lovely people how to keep the oven sated. But for now, should we just send it back to the kitchen?
Why am I not surprised that you're very good with such beasts? I do believe that returning it to a rightful balance would be the best idea.
And Sir Aubergine, as a chef fighter, you also recognize that this creature now is very pliable. It'll actually listen, and you know what needs to be done, who to train, or like how to train whoever's going to be taking care of this oven.
Do you wish to take the oven and instruct the chefs here? I don't know if they have those. How to take care of the creature, and maybe Madame Palm and I should go after the queen and see if she needs to be healed or aided in any way.
No,
I believe that would be an excellent plan. If you and Madame Palm would like to do so, and kindly take the princess with you so that she may stay out of danger as best she can.
I would be happy to have the princess accompany us.
short recap.
Absolutely.
What?
And so I'm going to take the oven into the kitchen and start scolding the kitchen staff, just full Chef Ramsay, you know.
Absolutely.
Terrorizing
Start
them.
threatening that you'll cook them
Yes.
with your war fork over
Yeah,
the oven if
absolutely.
they don't like take care of it properly. Got it.
Absolutely.
Palmer's
2 pieces
kitchen.
of lettuce
See for
on
how
each
much
side of the
fucking
head.
stuff is here.
The amount of food here you can't throw. The amount of food waste that goes through a kitchen. You couldn't keep this thing fed. Absolutely not.
So,
Okay.
you and Madame Palm, it doesn't take long for you, since the room has been emptied, to find where the switch is for the secret door that's behind the thrones.
Are we taking Princess Peach with us, or is she going with Aubergine?
He apparently he has requested that you take her with him, and the princess is nothing if not reasonable.
Okay.
So of course she will serenely, no expression change throughout this entire adventure, by the way, because her mask is rock.
Stone,
there's not
like
a
the pit.
stone. Yeah, not a whole lot can break that mask,
So,
Love it.
which is
You
good
make it
in royalty. That
and
is
open
great.
that door.
And everyone say hello to
I believe
Tristan.
Madame Palm.
Aubergine.
Hello, Tristan.
Kitty, sorry.
The baby.
Yes.
Yes, good
It's baby. I believe you have dark vision, correct?
day.
I believe Madame Palm has dark vision.
I have dark vision.
Meaning that
Yeah,
you have dark vision.
yeah.
Okay. It's hers is okay. So, Princess Peach, you can see in this hallway. It is dark. And you see 2 figures just a little bit down, like maybe 20 feet down. It's kind of narrowish. You guys are going to have to go single file a bit, and then it opens up to a small little enclave.
Okay.
And there is the Baroness Liddell and the White Queen. And the White Queen is laying there, barely moving. And you can see that the Baroness is trying to stop this wound.
I will go first as the warrior type. And as I approach, I will kind of keep my hands, my disguise is still active. I will keep my hands where they can be seen. Baroness, Madame Palm is quite adept at the healing arts where we come from, if you would permit.
The Baroness looks up. Whatever it is, it was magical. It was so fast. Do what you can.
Okay.
You have 2 things you could do.
I do.
this is just a mechanical suggestion, but if whatever Madame Pom requires a roll, feasibly Princess Peach could give her the help action, and so she could potentially roll that with advantage. I don't know what she's going to do, but
Mhm.
Um, okay, I think I'm gonna cast refresh.
You also have your food person ability with the C-type healing, and then you can cast the refresh. And
Yes.
so we'll do that. Go ahead and give me the roll for the refresh. They're not opposed, so you can just roll to see how much is going to be. It would be a D8 plus the bonus. I think the bonus is 2 for you. C-type healing, because pomegranates are have antioxidants and healing properties. She's able
What
to.
modifier am I going with? For this
Oh, you're right, it's a D8
one? Mhm.
and you're +2 for the healing.
Oh yeah, okay. So I have 10.
Perfect. As you are
Uh-huh.
touching and kind of feeling this weird body, it's squishier than you were expecting. I mean, you're a pomegranate. You don't. This is. How do they survive this long? Is the real question.
And how squishy they are. So
That's right.
I have to imagine it's similar to peach flesh.
Peaches are not squishy. They're supposed to be rather firm.
Yes, kind of like human skin.
The C-type healing stops her from dying and bleeding out. And then the 10 hit points goes and restores her enough to come back awake.
Awesome.
She's not coherent still yet, though. Just kind of out of it, considering the shock of all of that just happened. The Baroness looks at you all. Thank you. I will have the rabbit escort you either to your rooms or to the ship. It is up to you. But this was an assassination attempt, obviously, and done in such a manner as to blame you and your kindred. So the choice is up to you whether you would choose to stay.
Perpetrated by somebody that knows our customs and ways inside and out, such that they took advantage of your ignorance of such things. He kind of
Yes.
glances over at Peach. Regardless of your decision, Your Majesty, I would like to stay and get to the bottom of who is behind this.
Father would be disappointed in me were I to allow the opportunity to prove our innocence and also discover who would attempt to sabotage any possible alliances made in such a pointed way. I believe we shall stay, and I can speak for Sir Aubergine. He will not leave my side. Except
Oh, I will also
apparently
be
to
staying.
scold the kitchen staff.
Mainly because I don't like being blamed for things I did not do.
Plus, you do not wish to deprive us of your scintillating personality.
I know, right?
Appearing out of
Appreciate you not
nowhere
making
above.
me throw my royal weight around.
I love this. In the air above the Baroness Liddell, you start to see first a smile and then some eyes as a cat appears above there, and she glares. Where were you, Chesh? This was your job, and you failed it. You are lucky that they were here. And his smile cracks for a moment. And he says, I will inform the White Rabbit to come to your aid. And he disappears again. And at this point, we will stop here. Because the assassination attempt on the White Queen is definitely a very big problem for our poor people from the well, not poor, for our ambassadors of the Isles of Gastronomy, and will take many more hours to continue if they choose to join me on this adventure again sometime into the future. And if not, we had a lot of fun with the food fight. Just saying.
That's good.
That was good. That was
That was a lot of fun.
That was
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So
All right.
thank you, everybody. I appreciate
I'd be
you
down.
all. And we can work out playing some more again another day.
Thank you. This
Thanks,
was a lot of
everybody.
Thank you guys.
All right.
And scene.